Perhaps you're pregnant. Perhaps you are breastfeeding, and this is a question you're asking yourselves. Perhaps you're concerned of just how people may look down on you if you are considering having a, glass of wine with your meal. I've talked to some friends who are facing that exact same pressure. Well, let's get to the bottom of this. Is it safe to drink while pregnant or breastfeeding? Joining me on the line is Dr. Stephanie Liu, founder of evidence-based mom blog, lifeofdrmom.com, and she joins us while she's on vacation in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Liu, thank you so much.
Hi, Elias. Thanks for having me.
It's a real pleasure. Listen, Dr. Liu, I'm a man. I have never been pregnant. I have never breastfed, but I do see in the periphery friends and family grappling with this issue. So I guess my question for you is, do we have a definitive answer on whether pregnant or breastfeeding women can drink alcohol?
So sort of yes and a sort of no. Mm-hmm. So actually I have breastfed and I'm actually pregnant right now. So I've had a little bit of experience in this area in addition to reading some of the medical evidence out there. So the first question I think you kind of brought up was, is it safe to drink while you're pregnant? And unfortunately, the evidence out there says really there's no safe level of alcohol consumption during pregnancy. So what I typically recommend is no alcohol during pregnancy.
Gotcha. And this is because that alcohol that you're consuming, it gets to the womb, it gets to the baby.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So when a mom consumes alcohol, it goes to the baby, mm-hmm. And the risks associated with this are developmental problems with the baby. So one of the most common group of conditions is something called fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, mm-hmm. Which is a history of the mom drinking during pregnancy, brain abnormalities, and behavioral abnormalities, and also some growth restriction for the baby, so the baby isn't growing properly. So that's probably one of the biggest concerns about drinking during pregnancy.
Mm-hmm. So that's a definite no. The level is 0. But what happens when you've had that child and now you're trying to get back to your normal lifestyle, and you've started to breastfeed? Does anything change there when it comes to alcohol?
Yeah, so, I'll be honest, I'm actually really looking forward to having a glass of wine come mm-hmm. October when I'm due. And similar to what the recommendations are with alcohol and pregnancy, the safest thing probably to do, because we know that alcohol can be transferred from the mom to the baby via the breast milk too, mm-hmm. Is probably not drinking alcohol, but there are drinking alcohol and breastfeeding. But there are actually some studies that have come out there now that are saying, moderate consumption. So what that means is less than a drink a day is probably not going to cause the baby any significant harm. Mm-hmm. So what I normally recommend, because a lot of people, including myself, enjoy having a glass of wine, is if you want a glass of wine and you are breastfeeding, to wait 2 hours after you have an alcoholic beverage and then feeding the baby.
Okay, so that 2 hours will allow the alcohol to pass from your system, I imagine.
Yes, so only a very small amount, if any, would go to the baby.
So has the thinking on this progressed over the last, decade or so? When have we started to see that research come out?
So over the past few years, there's been more and more research about, what about small volumes or moderate consumption of alcohol? And now that evidence is coming out. A lot of the studies earlier on included more kind of case studies, and those were moms that were binge drinking, so mm-hmm. excessive amounts of alcohol. And they do see that, if you're drinking large volumes of alcohol, it can and breastfeeding, it can cause motor problems. So that's the physical movement of the baby. There may be some problems with that development, and also it may affect the baby's sleep-wake cycle.
Speaking with Dr. Stephanie Liu, founder of evidence-based mom blog, lifeofdrmom.com. We're talking about drinking while being pregnant or breastfeeding. Dr. Liu, does it matter what type of alcohol you're drinking? Like, is there a difference between a glass of wine at dinner or a cocktail at the end of the evening?
Yeah, so what we normally say as long as it's less than one standard drink a day. So, that being a glass of wine or a beer or I guess a hard alcohol, but just like within the normal shot glass range, it should typically all be the same.
Is there still a lack of awareness for a lot of people? You pretty definitively there when it comes to the pregnancy. You told us it's a zero. It's the safe amount is no alcohol. But is the awareness out there? The messages pass through? Or are we still seeing too many mothers continuing to drink?
Yeah, so this is an awesome question. Like, this is an area of research that they're doing more work on, because we know for sure binge drinking is not good during pregnancy. But there's been some talk about, what about just small volumes of alcohol, a drink here and there during pregnancy? Is that okay? And that's an area of research where there have been not as many studies, but more and more studies are kind of starting to look at this topic to see, is it safe here and there to have a small volume of alcohol during pregnancy? And right now, based on all of the evidence that's out there, the bigger gynecological obstetric associations are still saying, right now the safest thing to do is probably just to abstain during pregnancy.
And doctor, can you tell me about your personal experiences, being pregnant and you've already had a child, you've breastfed before.
Yeah.
What about the sort of stigma or maybe the sort of parent shaming you deal with? What can you say about that?
Yeah, as a physician, I think I used to be way more preachy than I have been since I became a mom. And, I'll be honest, I've had a sip of alcohol here and they're not a full drink, because, sometimes you miss it, especially if, having a glass of wine after a long day is something that you really enjoy, which is something that I like to have in moderation. And yes, there definitely is still quite a bit of a stigma around drinking during pregnancy. But sorry, I'm kind of not answering the question very well, but essentially, as a physician, I'd say no, don't drink alcohol. But as a mom, I can see how, and as a pregnant woman, I can see how tempting it really is to have a sip of alcohol here and there, especially when you see all of your friends and you're out for dinner and everyone else having a nice glass of wine.
You can find out more about Dr. Lou. Check out her Instagram, Life of Dr. Mom. Great Instagram, by the way. I'm checking it out right now as we speak.
Oh, thank you.
Right.
I just learned about social media a few months ago, and it's lots of fun.
Awesome. That's Dr. Stephanie Lou. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Okay, thank you. Take care.